Bitcoin for Dummies. Introduction. Welcome to Bitcoin for Dummies, second edition, a book that tells you everything you need to know to get started with the original blockchain-based cryptocurrency, including what blockchain and cryptocurrency mean. This is a very strange subject. Bitcoin is perhaps the most valuable asset there's about $1 trillion worth right now that almost nobody understands. How can you invest in something if you don't understand what it is? And make no mistake, most people, even some with thousands of dollars worth of Bitcoin, don't know what it truly is. Read this book and that won't be you. We're firm believers that if you want to be involved in Bitcoin in some way, you need to understand it. Two huge problems come with not understanding it. Thousands of Bitcoin owners have had their Bitcoin stolen. We explain how that happens and how to avoid it. Thousands of Bitcoin owners have lost their Bitcoin. We explain how to avoid this and why the Bitcoin isn't really lost, it's just out of reach. Our job is to break it all down into intelligible, easy to digest, bite-sized pieces that ordinary folks like yourself can understand. About this book explains, simplifies, and demystifies the world of Bitcoin. You find out what you need to know and do in order to decide if and how you're going to begin stepping into the beautiful world of Bitcoin. In this book, we explain the following: where Bitcoin came from, who's this person, Satoshi Nakamoto, what Bitcoin actually is and isn't, the various Bitcoin units down to the smallest 100 millionth of a Bitcoin, how money works. Yep, you think you know, but do you? How the crypto and cryptocurrency works, the best places to buy Bitcoin and how to do so. Working with your own crypto wallet. No, this is not where your Bitcoin is stored, but it's critically important nonetheless. How to keep your Bitcoin safe from theft and loss. How to invest in Bitcoin and maybe other cryptocurrencies and plenty more. Foolish assumptions. We don't want to assume anything, but we have to believe that if you're reading this book, you already know a few things about the internet. Bitcoin is a technology that depends on the internet. No internet, no Bitcoin. So you need to be tech aware enough to use some kind of internet connected device, a desktop PC or laptop, maybe just a smartphone. You need to be able to navigate to websites and download and run software. Not necessarily much software, maybe just a simple crypto wallet you can run on your smartphone. We explain how to keep your Bitcoin safe, so you'll also need to be able to carry out processes such as loading a password management program, installing antivirus software, and doing backups. This isn't rocket surgery or brain science, but if your idea of using a computer is asking your grandkid to find something on the interwebs for you, this book may not be for you. The icons used in this book, like all for Dummies books, uses icons that highlight certain paragraphs and to alert you to particularly useful information. Here's a rundown of what those icons mean. A tip icon means we're giving you an extra snippet of information that may help you on your way to provide additional insight into the concepts being discussed. The remember icon points out information that's worth committing to memory. All right, you can check that out. Beyond the book, in addition to what you're reading right now, this product also comes with a free access anywhere cheat sheet that covers quick tips and info to help you along the Bitcoin road. To get this cheat sheet, simply go to dummies.com and search for Bitcoin for Dummies cheat sheet in the search box. Where to go from here? Like all good reference tools, this book is designed to be read when needed. It's divided into several parts: background information on what Bitcoin actually is, how to actually use Bitcoin, buying, selling, and investing, some more details on how the technology functions, and the part of tens. We recommend you start at the beginning and read through sequentially, but if you just want to know how to use wallets, read chapter 4. If you need to understand where to buy Bitcoin, read chapter 3. If all you need to understand is what the crypto and cryptocurrency is and how it works, chapter 2 is for you. However, Bitcoin is a complex subject. All the topics covered in this book are interrelated. We strongly recommend you read everything in this book before you dive deep into Bitcoin investing. It's essential that you have a strong understanding of everything involved before you start. Don't join the thousands who have lost their Bitcoin. A little knowledge goes a long way. Number 1, Bitcoin basics. In this part, discovering where Bitcoin comes from, understanding how money works, learning how Bitcoin uses cryptography, sending messages to the Bitcoin blockchain, using private keys to prove Bitcoin ownership. So we're going to discover the history of digital currency, finding out about early Bitcoin and its creator, understanding what money and Bitcoin is and is not, exploring the benefits of Bitcoin. Chapter 1, Bitcoin in a nutshell. For a mere teenager, the Bitcoin network has certainly had a big impact on the world, transacting more than $12.4 trillion in 2021 alone. Is that right? As we write these words, Bitcoin has a market capitalization total value of 918 billion 705,395,133 dollars, which is almost $1 trillion. The market cap is the total number of Bitcoins in circulation multiplied by the current market price of a single Bitcoin. But that's a current low price. Just a few weeks prior, it had a combined value of almost $1.3 trillion. By the time you read this, the value may be higher, lower, or the same. That's one of the things about Bitcoin. Its market price can be very volatile, as you'll soon learn if you spend a little time watching the markets. But the impact we're talking about is not just referring to Bitcoin's current market value. In fact, the market cap of Apple Inc. is more than 3 times that of the Bitcoin network. However, a comparison with Apple might be apropos right now. So figure 1.1 shows how much Bitcoin would be needed to buy a single share of Apple stock from 2010 through 2021. The value of a single Bitcoin has been increasing against the Apple stock, just as it has, of course, against the US dollar and other governmental currencies. The launch of Bitcoin set off a revolution in blockchain and cryptocurrency. There are now more than 13,000 different cryptocurrencies. Most, be warned, are essentially valueless and will remain that way. At the time of this writing, the top 5 cryptocurrencies have a combined market cap of almost $1.7 trillion. And a number of cryptocurrencies have genuinely useful functions beyond merely being used as money or a store of value. It's likely that some of these cryptocurrencies will endure, even if most won't. But we're here to talk about Bitcoin. So let's begin with a little history. Where did Bitcoin come from and how did it develop? In the beginning, there were digital currencies. Blockchain-based cryptocurrencies are pretty new, but digital currencies designed for use online have been around for quite a while. Don't worry about this blockchain thing for the moment. We explain that in not too mind-numbing detail in Chapter 2. Just understand from now that a blockchain is a special kind of database, a store of digital data. As people started flooding online, the process began in the early 1980s, but really took off in 1994 with the advent of the commercial internet. It became clear that they were going to need some way to spend money in cyberspace. The first internet stores opened in that year. Of course, most online transactions today use credit and debit cards. Even PayPal and Venmo are essentially enabling transactions along with bank transfers, but that wasn't the case in the early days. Many people were concerned about credit card theft and thus wary of using their numbers online. For instance, when co-author Peter opened an online store in 1997, he did have a functioning credit card gateway, but many customers would print out a paper order form and mail a check. There was also the issue of microtransactions. Surely in the digital world, it should be possible to pay someone, say, 5 or 10 cents for something such as access to a video or article. The microtransaction problem has still not been solved, though one might argue that the Bitcoin Lightning Network, which we discussed in Chapter 4, almost gets us there. But nonetheless, that's one of the ideas that drove the development of digital currencies, and develop they did. In 1983, David Chom wrote a research paper on the concept of digital currency, blind signatures for untraceable payments, suggesting the use of cryptography to create and manage a digital currency. So even back then, cryptography had a role in digital currencies, although they weren't known as cryptocurrencies back then. When you hear people talk about cryptocurrencies, they're generally talking about this new generation of blockchain-based cryptocurrencies that started with Bitcoin. We explain more about cryptography and how it relates to cryptocurrencies in Chapter 2. Chom actually launched a cryptography-based digital currency known as DigiCash in 1990. But these were still very early days. Very few people were online in 1990, and the currency died out by around 1998. What likely hurt digital currencies by the end of the 90s was that the credit card companies wanted a piece of the online action and thus went out of their way to assuage consumers' fears of using credit cards online. Still, other digital currencies came along. There was e-gold, a currency backed by real gold, and Millicent, a currency created by a major computing company. Digital Equipment Corporation, DEC. If you're younger than, say, mid-30s, you probably won't remember DEC, but it was a big deal. In fact, even IBM had a micropayments division working on digital currencies at the time. Then there was NetBill, a project of Carnegie Mellon University, which was later merged into another system, CyberCash, which eventually ended up in the clutches of PayPal. There was Beans, which had a partnership with MasterCard at one point. First, virtual cybercoin Flues, promoted by Whoopi Goldberg, no less, and various others. But nothing much stuck. Lots of great ideas, but nobody could quite make it all work. By the early 2000s, most of these endeavors were moribund, probably ushered along by the dot-com crash of late 2000. There were exceptions. Liberty Reserve, based in Costa Rica, ran from 2006 until 2013, but was shut down after accusations that it was being used to launder billions of dollars of criminal proceeds and closed systems that work on particular networks, such as China's QQ coins, are mostly used on the Tencent QQ messaging service. But then there is Satoshi Nakamoto and his magical blockchain. The birth of Bitcoin. On November 1st, 2008, someone named Satoshi Nakamoto